I did a video a little over 2 years ago where I talked about Jake Virtanen and how I felt like with some patience, some time, I felt that he could break through. And I compared him to some other pretty big names coming out of their second or third years and said, you know what, he could break through. Now, it really depends on your point of view with Jake Virtanen. I think there are certain fans in the Canuck fan base, and certainly outside the Canuck fan base, that have made up their mind a while ago that, this kid's a bust. And I think that it would take a pretty dramatic upsurge in his scoring to change that narrative. Although this year, he kind of sort of had that, and yet the narrative's still out there. So, that's this video. He's number 6 pick in 2014, and everybody and their dog will tell you they should have drafted Nylander. Fine. I'd also point out Nick Ehlers was taken at 9, so at 8 and 9, great players are taken. Yes, absolutely. But Sam Bennett went at 4, and Michael Del Cole went at 5. So, yes, Vancouver and drafting Jake Virtanen, people can constantly point and go, look what they did. They got Virtanen at 6, and they could have had Nylander. Yep. And Calgary had Bennett, and the Islanders had Del Cole, I should say. And so the draft is like that. Now, his first year, 2015-2016, making $894,000, playing an average ice time of 11 minutes and 34 seconds per game, and recording 128 hits. 55 games, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points. I think the hitting gets overlooked. I do. I think with Jake Virtanen, I think people just look at the goals and the assists and they go, he doesn't score often enough. And they leave out the fact that he's a physical forward on a Canucks team that, they're kind of soft. So 2016-2017, he had a setback. He only played the 10 games at the NHL level. He had 1 assist, played 10 minutes and 9 seconds on average, and had 17 hits. And so I think it is that second year where people went, kid's a bust. And anything since then, I think, has been just fighting against that perception. And again, while we're watching William Nylander break through with Toronto and have pretty good seasons, but look at the cap situation the Canucks have. Add Nylander to that bunch, things would be way worse. 2017-2018, 75 games, 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points, $894,000 is still his salary that year. He plays 11 minutes and 59 seconds on average, 156 hits. I think ice time's important. Jake has not really been a top 6 forward. He hasn't really been counted on to be one of those top-notch guys. Now, the question that comes in, and this is a fair question, is does he not get that top 6 role because he has been stalled in his development? Does he not get into that top 6 role because there's maturity issues? We hear about the maturity issues. They crop up here and there. He's going to turn 24 on August 17th. I'm not going to deny that there are some concerns about his maturity level. But he's not the first National Hockey League player to have maturity level problems. In fact, there were players years back who were older than he is now who had maturity level problems. There are likely players now older than he is who have maturity problems. And you can grow out of that. So last year, 2018-2019, 70 games played, 15 goals, 10 assists, 25 points. And his asking price ends up being $1.25 million a year for last year and this year. It's a mild increase in his salary. It doesn't make his salary prohibitive. It doesn't mean that you're losing a player because you're giving Virtanen $1.25 million. His ice time, a career high 14 minutes and 49 seconds per game, and 154 hits in those 70 games. So, very physical season. Things changed this year. This player changed. 69 games played, 18 goals, 18 assists, 36 points. So he likely would have hit 20 goals this year, which wouldn't silence doubters. 20 goals isn't going to do it because for people who have decided, and I think there is a subset of Canucks fans who have decided this player is a bum, we want him out. It doesn't matter what he does. So $1.25 million for 18 goals, that's a pretty good healthy return. That's not too bad of an investment right there. 6 power play goals, and 6 game-winning goals. Shotgun Jake, important in big games. So he played 13 minutes and 5 seconds this year, 102 hits. So his hits dropped to a career low over any season he played other than this one where it's only 10 games, so I'm not going to count that. But a career low. His games seem to change and go more from the hitting to the offensive side, but he's still throwing hits. He is still throwing more than 1 hit per game. on a team not known for having tons of hitters when he came in. And I would still say that of the young forwards that Vancouver has, Virtanen plays a different game than everybody else. And if the Canucks made him available, he would likely be a popular target for other teams because I still think there's more upside there offensively. Sure, he may never hit the 35-40 goal marks that we might have hoped he would when he was drafted 6 years ago, but he may hit 25. He may hit 50 points. He may be a guy who puts up 50 points and has about 150 hits. And then someday on some team, probably Pittsburgh, you're looking at their third line and going, wow, that Virtanen, he threw all those big hits in the playoffs and they're cup champs again. Look at that. With McCann as a center. And then Canuck fans lose their minds. And that's when it turns into, well, I knew he was going to be good. I knew we shouldn't have traded him. So he's a restricted free agent this summer, and he's arbitration eligible, meaning he and the Canucks could sit down in front of an arbitrator and hash this out. If that happens, I'm thinking he probably ends up being traded sooner rather than later, or he wants a trade sooner rather than later. So either the team or he soured in the relationship. Arbitration's a bad setup. Arbitration is not a fun setup for the player or for the team, because the team is saying, we don't think he's worth what he's asking, and the player's saying, I think the owner's cheap, because it's a bad setup. Now, when you look at this season, and I'm being as fair as possible here, 12 games, 3 goals, 2 assists in October. November, 15 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. And then he had a great December. 13 games, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. January, 11 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. It is troubling that he was trending down over the last 6 weeks of the season. February, 13 games, 3 goals, and 1 assist. March, 5 games, only 1 assist over those 5 games. Now, I will also point out, this is in a period where the entire Canucks team went into a malaise and kind of things fell apart for them. But while Jake Virtanen, yeah, he's a kid, he's a bit of a rebel, and maybe he's not the most popular guy in the locker room. Again, I don't know one way or the other, and I'm not going to say whether he is or isn't. But against the East, he was 8 goals and 6 assists worth for 14 points in 31 games. And against the West, 38 games, 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points. Played very well in his own division. There are too many things that I look at with Virtanen that tell me this kid is still trending up. He's still young. Again, I'm not saying he's Cam Neely. I'm not saying he's Todd Bertuzzi. But you have to think that his asking price for next season probably won't be that high. And they could probably sign him to a bridge contract for what? $2 million for 2 years? So $4 million overall over 2 years. Maybe a little bit north of that. But I don't see Virtanen being prohibitively expensive. I just find it odd that we have this player who plays a physical game, can score about 20 goals a year, and we're still having the debate about why he isn't somebody else. So this is a classic Vancouver issue that I've seen a lot, and I know there's other fan bases that do it too, but again, because of my proximity to Vancouver and because of all these years I've spent around a lot of Canuck fans, there does tend to be a fascination with the players on other teams and that shiny object on the other team, and then as soon as he's in Vancouver, well, he's no good. And there's downplaying of current players on the roster. They play up the prospects before they come in, and then as soon as they come in, we'll get rid of them. And then there's the players on the other teams that they say, oh, that guy's fantastic. And then if I say, well, he's good, but he's not better than the guy we've got, then it's, oh, you're just being a homer. No. And it's this concern I have that if the Canucks were to say in the offseason, okay, we're gonna find a way to get out of a bad contract and we're going to throw Jake in as a sweetener, I think you regret that later. Rumors of Gaudette being out there as well, as maybe he'll be a sweetener in a deal. I think that if this is handled badly by Vancouver, you end up in a situation where you lose the better player in the trade. Maybe you gain cap space. Maybe you're able to keep somebody else. But I still say if the Canucks were to give up on Virtanen, and yeah, he's a kid. I really believe he'll get it together. I think you look at some of the games he had, and especially between November and January, and he was one of the best forwards on the ice. And I still think that potential is there for him to be a pretty solid forward who can score 25 goals and throw his share of hits. But I would be interested to know what Canuck fans think in the comment section below. And again, I discussed Virtanen 2 years ago, and I was looking around Twitter today, and I thought, you know what? I'll weigh in on this. I'll weigh in on this with my opinion on Virtanen, which is he's still trending in the right direction. There's no reason to compare him to somebody else. I'm not sure why that's the thing so much, and it's why when I do the draft previews, I don't try to say, oh, this guy's the next Murray, this guy's the next Crosby, this guy's no. They are the first of who they are. This is the first of Jake Virtanen's, and if somebody else comes along named Jake Virtanen that plays the exact same way, then I can compare one Jake Virtanen to the other. I think it's unfair to compare players, especially when you're looking over different eras and it's a completely different skill set. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.